What's going on, guys? Nathan here. Today I want to talk about the top 5 signs that you might be the fish at the poker table. Let's jump right into this one. Alright guys, so having been around the game of poker for nearly 20 years and having played this game professionally for over a decade, I have noticed these are the top 5 signs of fishy poker players. Let's talk about it right now. Counting down from 5 to 1. Here we go. Number 5, you like to play a lot of bad hands. Guys, this is the surest sign of a recreational poker player, aka a fish at the poker table. And the reason why, guys, we don't want to be playing bad or trashy hands, as some people like to call them. For example, 10-7 offsuit, King-4 offsuit, Ace-Deuce offsuit. That means there's 2 different suits. The reason why we don't want to be playing these hands, guys, is because you put yourself in a mathematical disadvantageous position right from the start. You're an underdog. And winning poker players know that having the math and the odds in your favor is the biggest thing that's going to bring you success in this game. So I'm going to give you a solution right here. Only play these hands. Pocket aces down to pocket twos. So that's pocket aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, all the way down to pocket twos. Pocket pairs are very, very important in poker. They're very powerful because you can hit potentially what we call a set, aka 3 of a kind, and these are going to be some of the biggest winning hands that you win, especially in no limit hold'em. You also want to be playing ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, king queen, king jack, queen jack, and also a handful of suited connectors, for example 9-8 of hearts, and a handful of suited aces, for example Ace-4 of diamonds. I will put some charts up on your screen right now giving you a rough idea of what hands I recommend playing in 6-max and 9-max. And if you want to know my entire strategy, all of the charts for every single type of poker game, including Zoom and tournaments, I include those in my free poker cheat sheet. You can grab that for free. That'll be the top link in the description below. Let's move on to sign number 4 that you might be the fish at the poker table, and that is that you like to limp a lot. Now let me define this first. Guys, limping is the act of just calling the big blind pre-flop. This is almost always a bad play in poker because you're showing weakness and you're displaying a passive nature right from the get-go in the hand, guys, which is really, really problematic for several reasons. Number 1, winning poker players, I mention it all the time in these videos, they know that aggression is the key to success. And that is simply for the reason that you give yourself multiple ways to win the pot. You give yourself more than one way to win the pot, guys. When you are just limping and calling and playing passive in poker, you're basically only going to win the pot when you make the best hand. But the problem is, guys, and you already know this, is that you don't make good hands very often in poker, and therefore the majority of the hands of the pots that get won in no limit hold'em are simply won by the guy or girl who wants it more. And who's going to want it more? It's going to be the person who has the aggression, the betting lead. It's a psychological advantage in poker that just gives you more paths to success, more keys to victory. If you've already raised it before the flop, raise the pot, then when you make a bet on the flop, turn, river, or a raise, it's going to be more effective because people already assume that you have a strong hand because you've already showed aggression early on. So guys, the solution here, the key is to raise pre-flop close to 100% of the time when you are the first person to enter the pot. So pre-flop, if 2 people have folded and it comes to you, you are the first person in the pot. I would recommend raising it to around 3 times the big blind as a default, literally close to 100% of the time. It is different if somebody has already limped, somebody has already raised. So I just want to be clear, I'm talking about first into the pot. But guys, this is one of the biggest things you can immediately do to improve your poker game. If you're limping currently, cut this out. Guys, take control of the hand right away. Put people on notice at the poker table that you're in charge. You're not in there playing passively like every other rec player. Let's move on to sign number 3 that you might be the weak player at the table, and that is that you ignore your position. Guys, I've said it so many times in these videos before. By the way, make sure you're subscribed, is that not all seats at the poker table were created equal. table. And I'm going to put the image up on your screen right now. The button and the cutoff are by far the most profitable two positions at the poker table. I have checked this before in database programs like Poker Tracker. I'll link that up in the description below, and you can just go and see your results for yourself in the program. You're going to see if you played any amount of poker that you are winning far more when you're in the button and the cutoff compared to all of the other seats at the poker table. Now, why is this the case? The reason why, guys, is because you get to act last on the flop, turn, and river, which is a massively proven statistical advantage because you simply have the power of information. You get to see what somebody else does first. Are they showing weakness? Did they check? Or did they bet out? So this gives you all sorts of more options. You know what the other person is thinking already, and you can decide from there if you want to call, if you want to raise, or if you want to just fold your hand right now if you believe this person. So it's going to give you every advantage. You're always going to get that last bet in, that last bluff in, and you're going to be able to see what they do first, and you're not playing in the dark. So guys, the solution here is to simply try to play the majority of your hands on the button and the cutoff. Now, obviously, this is not always possible. A lot of the hands that I talked about playing before, like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, ace king, these are hands that are so powerful you should be playing them always from every single seat at the poker table. But for all of these other hands that are sort of close, for example, Jack 10 of clubs, Ace 7 of hearts, hands like this that are sort of on the borderline, you want to lean towards playing these hands from the button and the cutoff and folding them potentially from a lot of the other seats at the poker table. Let's move on to sign number 2, guys, that you might be the fish at the poker table, and that is that you like to go all in with top pair. Guys, this is another big no-no at the poker tables, and I'm specifically talking about 100 big blind effective stack sizes here. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm not talking about tournament strategy here when we're late in a tournament with like 30 big blinds or so. Yes, in a situation like that, going all in with top pair is totally standard, and it's what you should be doing. I am instead talking about a situation that you often find yourself in cash games and at the beginning of tournaments when the stacks are much deeper, around 100 big blinds or so. When I say effective stack sizes, by the way, I'm literally just talking about the lowest common stack size. Somebody else could have 200 big blinds, but the lowest of the two is 100. Now, in a situation like this, guys, the reason why you don't want to be going all in with top pair very often is because most of the time when you're up against any kind of sane, decent thinking opponent, if they want to go all in with 100 big blinds or more, a significant deep stack size like that, they're going to show up with 2 pair, a set, trips, flush, straight, quads, so on. Guys, a hand that beats top pair, they could simply just have an overpair to the board as well if they have pocket aces or pocket kings. So guys, unless you are playing against a total maniac fish who's had 6 or 10 beers, you don't want to be going all in most of the time with top pair. You want to be playing this hand cautiously. So the solution here is to just be careful with your top pair, specifically when the stacks are deep. You want to keep the pot size manageable. How do you do that? By checking and calling instead of betting and raising. And my number one sign that you might be the rec player, the fish at the poker table, is that you are obsessed with small sample sizes. Now, let me explain. Most amateurs, guys, think that 100 hands, 1,000 hands, or even 10,000 hands is a good sample size of their winnings or their losses. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but all experienced poker players simply know better than this. Guys, you need 50,000, 100,000 hands in order to simply get past basic variance. I've discussed this many times on my poker blog before, blackbrain79.com, and I discussed this in all of my poker books as well. I played this game professionally for over 10 years, and I've had multiple stretches where I have run bad for 100,000 hands or more, meaning that I was simply getting unlucky again and again, even though I'm a long-term, significant winning poker player. During these stretches, I was getting the short end of the stick again and again and again. And honestly, guys, it can take live poker players. You play in a casino, it can take you 1 year to play at 50,000 hands, 100,000 hands. hands. And with online poker, even in my craziest grinding days, I was only playing 100,000 or 200,000 hands a month. So guys, I know these numbers sound a little crazy, but from my nearly 20 years in this game, guys, I can tell you that there is no other way around this. The long run in poker is much, much longer than most people think, and this is why your aces that got cracked 3 times last night or 10 times last week, it doesn't matter, guys. It is a drop in the bucket of literally nothing, and this is why when you see all these people complaining about their bad beats and giving you their bad beat stories, they've literally, I've talked about it so many times, these people have mentally cracked already. They simply don't understand how the game of poker works. Individual hands, 10 hands, 1,000 hands, 10,000 hands, they don't matter in the mathematical long run of this game. As I always mention, guys, your solution here, do not obsess over your short-term results. Focus on months and years, not weeks and days. Guys, I hope you're not doing any of these 5 things at the poker table. Like and subscribe if you found this one helpful. And once again, if you want to know my entire strategy to smash the small and mid-stakes games, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the best at the poker tables. Unless you're on mine, of course. I will catch you next time.